Picture this, a looming government shutdown that could trigger massive layoffs in the federal workforce, all orchestrated as a deliberate move by the White House to streamline operations. It's a scenario that's got everyone on edge, and it's unfolding right now as political tensions boil over. But here's where it gets controversial. Is this a savvy way to cut bureaucracy, or a risky gamble that could cripple essential services? Stick around, because we're diving deep into the details, and trust me, there's more to the story than meets the eye. We're talking about the end of the federal fiscal year, which wraps up on Tuesday, September 30th. Without a new budget in place by then, the government's ability to spend money hits a hard stop. This isn't unusual. Congress often misses deadlines, so they typically pass what's known as a continuing resolution. Basically, a temporary fix to keep things running while lawmakers negotiate a full agreement. Think of it like hitting the pause button on a movie, so everyone can agree on the next plot twist. This year, though, the usual drama is dialed up to 11. The White House, under President Donald Trump, is pushing for significant cuts to federal spending, while Democrats are advocating for more funding to support their priorities. It's a classic standoff, and to prepare for the worst, the Federal Office of Management and Budget, OMB, has issued a memo to all agencies. This document, as reported by Politico, urges federal leaders to view any potential shutdown not just as a hiccup, but as a golden opportunity to permanently eliminate jobs that no longer fit the bill. Specifically, the memo targets positions where funding has dried up, can't be propped up by other sources, or simply don't align with the president's policies. To make this clearer for beginners, imagine a government office with various departments. Some are core and must keep running, like Social Security, Medicare, Veterans Benefits, the military, law enforcement, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Customs and Border Protection, CBP, and Air Traffic Control. These are shielded from cuts no matter what. But other programs, they could be on the chopping block if they don't have the backing they need. And this is the part most people miss. The memo points out that Democrats are signaling they might break from tradition by refusing to pass a continuing resolution. Instead, they're blocking a Republican-backed version due to their own partisan demands. On the flip side, the Big Beautiful Bill, that's the official name for H.R. 1 or the One Big Beautiful Bill, provides plenty of resources to keep key Trump administration priorities humming along without interruption. So, while some areas get a lifeline, others without mandatory funding infusions could face the brunt of the shutdown fallout. The memo emphasizes that agencies must plan accordingly, in case Democrats choose to force a shutdown. Delving deeper, the memo explains that programs whose funding expires and aren't backed by other means are no longer legally required to operate. As a result, agencies are instructed to issue reduction in force, RIF notices. That's government speak for layoff warnings, to employees in programs, projects, or activities that meet 3 specific criteria. 1. Their discretionary funding runs out on October 1, 2025. 2. No alternative funding like H.R. 1 is available. And 3. They clash with the president's priorities. These RIF notices come on top of any furlough notices, temporary unpaid leave, during the funding lapse, and they apply to all staff in those areas even if they're exempt from furloughs. But wait, it doesn't end there. The memo stresses that job cuts shouldn't halt once a budget is finally approved. After fiscal year 2026 appropriations are passed, agencies should adjust their RIFs to keep only the bare minimum staff needed for statutory duties. In other words, this could lead to a leaner federal workforce long-term, potentially saving taxpayer dollars, but sparking debates about whether it's fair or efficient. Looking ahead, the chances of Congress acting before the fiscal year ends seem slim, according to reports from the Wall Street Journal. The Senate reconvenes on Monday, just 1 day before the current budget expires, with plans to vote solely on a House-passed proposal that would fund existing programs through November 21st. The House, however, won't be back in session until after October 1st. For any deal to stick, both chambers need to agree, So the Senate might have to approve the House version or risk the House rejecting a modified continuing resolution, which could trigger that dreaded shutdown. This whole situation raises eyebrows and divides opinions. On one hand, supporters might argue it's a necessary step to eliminate waste and align government with Trump's vision of efficiency. On the other, critics could see it as a partisan power play that punishes workers and disrupts services. Is this a bold reform or a dangerous escalation? Do you believe Democrats are unfairly blocking progress? Or is the White House overstepping by weaponizing layoffs? We'd love to hear your take. Agree, disagree, or have a counterpoint? Drop the thoughts in the comments below and let's discuss.